stress can ruin relationships. And having a rental property adds additional stress to relationships. I saw it growing up. My parents got divorced. I think one of the reasons was additional stress from a rental property that my mom had. I think they would have got divorced either way because there were two different people born in a different generation. But what would happen is my father would work a day job. And then at night, there was always something to do from time to time, a recurring pattern at the rental property. And in order to make a rental property justified economically, some things you either have to do yourself or you have to manage yourself. You have to oversee, even if you have a property manager. And for most people, regular life, their day job, their own house, if they own a house, is enough stress without additional stress. Now, I thank God for this property because without this property, I don't think my mom would have had the confidence to get divorced. I think we would have struggled a lot more financially. Because I come from a middle class background. My father was just a construction worker, his father a janitor. And my mom was a stay at home mom for most of her life. And then when they got divorced, she had to get into the workforce. Even the divorce lawyer told her, look, you're going to need to get a job. And she worked basic minimum wage jobs in addition to things on the side. But that rental property, I think, gave her enough confidence to say that I could make it on my own because the stress that was coming on to the kids was such an unhealthy environment that she knew she needed to do something. But I saw throughout the years that rental property, a multifamily, 2, 3 family property, as much of a blessing it was also a stress point, a recurring pattern of always something to do. I saw my mother and her sisters fight when my mother's father died and left this property amongst them. Good to see you, ESP. Leaving property to family is a mess, more stress. When someone dies, you have to go through the grieving process. And we know that in any family, everyone grieves different, everyone lives different. So now imagine everyone's grieving and living different, and people are in different locations. And now you add the stress of managing rental property or liquidating property, going through the legal channels to dissolve this estate. I saw my mom and her sisters fight for years. They finally resolved it and they made it work. But I saw this rental property, and again, I want to thank God for it because I think without that, we probably would have been in poverty. Even with my mom working, my father paid child support and alimony. So, but like I say, I know that rental property gave my mom some confidence to get a divorce because in that generation, when women stayed home and previous generations, women didn't have abundance of opportunity in the workforce. And like I said, she worked minimum wage jobs many times to do what she needed to do. But I'm sure she had in the back of her mind, well, I have this property if I need it. But I can tell you that rental property ruins relationships. It'll ruin the relationship with your spouse. It'll ruin the relationship with your siblings, ruin the relationship with anyone you're investing with. Of course, there's exceptions. There's people that have the capacity to manage rental property and a main job and their own property, but not many. Even people I know that are great people, very diligent and hardworking and very smart, and I look up to them, I respect them. I could see the stress. I could hear the stress when I talk to them. And the rental properties, even when they're doing good, they're another thing to worry about. There's always a financial and emotional cost. Even when the finances are good, what's the emotional cost? That's what I learned with minimalism. There's been plenty of times that I've been able to upgrade my lifestyle. And in my younger days, I did. But as I got older, I recognized that stress does not just come from finances, but also how much emotional stress you want on your life. How many things you want to take care of, even if you can afford them. Property is one of the heaviest I don't want to say non-liquid, but it's not that liquid. It requires upkeep. It requires worrying. It's a liability sometimes, even when it produces income. And maybe that's why too. I owned a property, and again, it was a blessing. But maybe that's why too. Sometimes I'm a little bit negative on owning real estate. I don't have a passion for real estate. I see its value. I know some people that is their passion. I respect that. And it is an income producer for them. But it has a price. Everything has a price. And including stocks. You could, put too much in there and then go up and down and they hurt you mentally. That's why I always tell day traders and people even riskier in stocks than just the index fund. Don't risk more than 30% of your net worth. Mitigate your risk and don't depend on that for income if you can help it, because even if you're going to make money, you may destroy your mental health making money, and that's not worth it either. But you've never seen entanglement when you add relationships, rental property, and of course, obviously too, if there's a passing and that needs to be dissolved, but even when everyone's alive, who's going to go to the property? When are they going to go? Who's going to call the contractor? The property management called us. The property management company isn't doing good. I don't want to hire a property management company. I want to make extra money. I don't want to hire a contractor. I know someone who can do that. It's this whole tangled web of stress. Real estate, again, I want to recognize its value, but also want to say that through my experience in owning real estate and seeing what my parents went through, that it is also it's a heavy stress point. And, I know renting isn't always perfect, but the rent stops when you pay the rent. Now, I know someone even, I seen it with my mom. She was gracious. Okay. And, someone didn't pay rent and she would let them slide for a couple months, and she didn't even raise rent for a couple years. And even after being gracious with them, they still don't pay sometimes. And once in a while, there's an eviction. And that's why, guys, I don't feel like too sorry for people who get evicted, because I've seen people be gracious to people who rented. They not raise their rent. They give them late periods to pay and they still don't pay. Remember, when you get evicted, that means you recurringly didn't pay. No landlord wants to kick you out. Good to see you, Charles. People, I'll tell you that when you get into rental property, I saw a neighbor of mine when I owned a property in New Jersey, condo. The guy below me, he owned a rental property. He was a good guy, knew his family well. And the rental property, he was renting out a condo up the street. And the guy was late, and then he just stopped paying. 6-8 months of non-payment. And my friend, I went with him to court to get the legal process to get him evicted. It was a lot of stress. And he had a day job. He worked as a mechanic. A day job and rental properties, that's a lot of stress. A lot of liability. You say, oh, rental market's great. My tenant's been paying. Well, hey, I want to tell you, there's always exceptions. I want to tell you, there are some people that are able to do it. That's their passion. They have the proper capacity, the proper risk management. But I want to tell you, in my experience, in my family, in the people I've seen, neighbors, the people I haven't known, strangers, I see the stress ruin their life and everyone's life around them, and the life of the people that they leave the property to. Now, I want to pause a little bit. Of course, Anytime you inherit something, anytime you get something, and I think it kept us out of poverty. Because I think with my mom having that property, it gave us grace, at least for her to be able to get a job and have some type of income. So I don't want to say that it's all negative. That's not fair of me. But I want to make the statement through my life experience, my real life testimony, not an illusion, that for many people, rental properties will destroy their quality of life and the quality of their relationships. That is my statement based off my testimony as a 41-year-old man from what I've seen in my family and my friends and people who are just associates. So I'm not saying that you can't do it. Everyone is different. Everyone's circumstance is different. So don't let me project on you, but don't just take what I'm saying as not actual review. You look on Google reviews for people who have experience in something. That doesn't mean you take that Google review and you base your life on it, but it means you better take heed. And you better look, not just at how much money a property can produce, you better look at your stress levels. You better look at everyone you know, the quality of their life and the quality of their relationships, not Grant Cardone. But the average person, even Grant Cardone, you look deep enough in his life, you'll see. I've already seen it because I watched enough YouTube videos of him. So that's what I want to say. Thank you, ESP, for leaving a comment. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Hal. What's good? Not much, Hal. Just getting through another day. Remember, one day at a time is a blessing. You know, I got through another day without owning property. In one sense, I feel good about it. In the other sense, you know, it is something always on my mind. I said to myself, Sam, is that why you don't want to buy property? Well, certainly that plays a part in my experience in real estate, but I'm not buying a property to rent out. You know, some people say, well, if you don't like the property, you can rent it out. No, I'm not doing that. And that's why I didn't rent out my place in New Jersey. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to manage my relationship with someone else. Again, some people, that's an investment for them. I know a couple people, they do it. They're passionate about it. So I don't want to, make that. But yeah, so for me, how the day was good. It was sunny. It was beautiful in South Florida. You say, why you have a hoodie on? Well, when you get accustomed to South Florida at night, when it's in the 70s or 60s, it's cold. Believe it or not. I know that's like, you're like, oh, screw you. Hey guys, look. My man Cartoon Mark left a video when I was living in my car in New Jersey in a snowstorm. I know cold. I lived through it. I got the experience. I got the Google reviews. And what I could tell you is South Florida for the win. Is real estate for the win? Well, the only time, in my opinion, real estate is for the win is when it's your primary property. It's below your means. It's in an area you want to live. It's not too big where it's manageable. And you've done a lot of research and, you're willing to deal with some things. Are there exceptions? Are there some people who should buy multiple properties and rent them out? Of course. Everyone's different. That's what makes the world go round. But remember in life, it's your testimony, your actual life experience that you need to share and leave room for other people to have their own experience. Because everyone does. Everyone has a different, we all have a different fingerprint. I thought about ESP today. She said, if I buy a Class B, I'd also buy property eventually. Put it on there. And I think about that. I'll probably do a separate video talking about, is buying a house and an RV worth it? Many people who have an RV, that is not their primary residence. That's just their recreational vehicle. And, it's not the same feeling of being a nomad. You're not a nomad when you have a house. My man Hal's showing the long-time support, 13 months, over a year. He goes, I mess with you, Sam. I appreciate that. I'm fortunate to have good people in my life, and I'm thankful for you. Keep doing what you do. You do the same. I'm very proud of you. Real recognize real. You know what it is. Like I always say, you speak facts about real life shit. Thank you. We connect, and that's dope. It's a blessing. I'm very grateful. 130 well spent. Well, I thank you for it, Hal. And like I always tell you, there's no guilt trip here. You're not in a church. You're not in anything. If for whatever reason, you don't want to be a member, you got something else going on in life, don't feel bad. Like I always tell you guys, no one owes me nothing. However, I got to do what I got to do for me. I got to manage my time, and that's it's just what it is. So, but I'm grateful for all the members. I'm grateful for the people that don't aren't a member. I'm grateful for everyone that's positive. Very grateful. Oh, Tracy, I saw your comment today. Tracy, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Tracy. I saw your comment today. Thank you for that gracious tip. Very thankful for that. Yeah, what I could tell you, Tracy and everyone out there, relationships are hard. There's some that are worth it. Which relationships are worth it? Well, when there's an equal admiration, meaning there's an equal level of respect, there's an equal level of appreciation. That's very hard to find. Now we're narrowing it out. Then, even when you have that, right? Tracy and everyone listening, even when you have that reciprocal relationship, then you have to manage it. You thought rental property was a lot. Managing a regular reciprocal relationship, you don't just put it on cruise control. You got to invest your time. You got to be engaged. I remember, dating some girl. She was telling me some story, and she was like, Sam, are you listening to me? I was like, what? So now, sometimes that's part of life. But, like I always said, what I've learned is people want someone to talk to. But to have someone to talk to, they got to be listening to you. They got to be engaged. So let's say you're hitting on all cylinders, and we're all human. We all have our errors. But let's say we're hitting on all cylinders. You got this great relationship. There's an equal level of energy exchange. But then if you add enough stress, even to a good relationship, pressure bust pipes. Why do I say mitigate risk? Because I've been at a point where even if I have enough stress put on me, no matter how wise or strong I am, I'll break. Anyone will break. You put enough pressure on anyone. Now you say, I've watched a movie where some villain got tortured for 7 days and he still didn't break. Guys, and girls, they're always psychopaths, okay? There's always people that like the type of porn where it's damn near abuse. There's certain people out there, guys, but if that's your role model, to get tortured for 7 days and not break to prove how tough you are, I don't know what type of reciprocal relationship you're in. In my experience, anyone who's balanced has a certain point where they break because they have some empathy. They have some ability to feel. Yeah, if you're a psychopath and you don't have empathy, you'll never break. You don't care. Now, I don't care either, but, I still got empathy. Because I learned, you got to not give a fuck a little bit or a motherfucker take advantage of you. But I still have empathy. And that's good because I want to feel. I want to be able to cry and feel people's pain. If you're not doing that, guys, you're a psychopath. But I'm not going to be an enabler. I'm not going to cry for 7 days. I'm not going to be pussy whipped. I tell you, don't put the penis on a pedestal. Don't put the pussy on a pedestal. And I damn sure I don't want to own real estate that I rent out. I struggle with owning real estate at all. And I do see that, it is possible, especially as a single person. It's possible to live your whole life and never buy a house and still live a great life and even be financially free. Buying real estate doesn't make you financially free. Buying real estate should really only be done when you're financially free or in a good position, and it's a cherry on the top. And even Dave Ramsey speaks about that, and I agree with it. I didn't understand it. I don't agree with everything with Dave Ramsey, but a lot of his overall philosophy is spot on. Okay. Help me. I remember driving in New Jersey on the Garden State Parkway, and, I was trying to, get a hold of my finances. But like most people, I was never taught, financial literature. Okay. Like I said, my parents, my father worked construction. My mom worked minimum wage jobs when they got divorced. They weren't like financial gurus. We always had everything we wanted as kids, but it's we weren't taught finances like most people, at least in that era. Okay. Now in the era of technology where there's the internet and everything, I think there's a lot of information about basic finances. But I remember, like, in my 20s, I said, man, I'm working. I always knew, like, to me, you got to work because that's how you make money and that's how you get independence. So I always wanted to work as quick as I could. I remember 16, applying to Burger King, applying to a gas station. And then finally, through a friend, I got a job at the mall working retail. And then I got a job in construction. Then I just advanced from there. So, but in my 20s, I was living a little bit high on the hog, like most people. Wanted to buy a nice car, and it was okay because I didn't have no kids. But then you get to a point where I don't want to impress people anymore. I actually want to know that I'm working, and that income, I want to know where it goes, and I want to know why. How do I get abundance? Good to see you, Doug. Not just how do I look like I have abundance, how do I, have this abundant life as far as like just being financially free. And, I remember because driving on the Parkway and listening to AM radio. At that time, you didn't have a smartphone. Even in my 20s, you didn't have a smartphone with YouTube. Not on a mass scale, no way. So in my 20s, I'm driving on a Parkway and Dave Ramsey is on AM radio. And he has a lot of rental property. Now, he went bankrupt in his 20s. And he does have a passion about rental income. But he has a lot of tenacity, a lot of energy. And he even said when he went through the bankrupt, and he went through bankruptcy through buying several properties, he said it almost destroyed his relationship with his wife. Now, if he didn't rebound and he didn't become a millionaire, he probably would have got divorced. Dave Ramsey would have probably got divorced if he didn't. He almost basically says it, if you listen enough. So what are we talking about? We're talking about, look, when you add financial instability, when you add extra responsibility, when you add other personalities, your tenants have personalities. Now you got all these personalities you're managing. You're a therapist. You're a financial advisor. You're a contractor. You're a project manager. You're a lawyer because you got to know the eviction laws. You got to know the liability. You're an insurance agent because you got to be properly insured because they're under your roof. You're all these things, but happy. You say, well, I'm going to be able to retire because I got a duplex. I got a triplex. I want to tell you, that may be the reason you get divorced and you end up renting a small little shithole and being happy in it in your elderly years. Thank you again, Tracy. Thank you, Hal. Thank you, Charles. And thank you, ESP. Let's go back to these live comments. Thank you, Doug. My man, Cartoon Mark. What's up, brother? Never be a landlord. He just had to evict a person. He's in upstate New York. He has a duplex. He had to evict them. It was a shit show. Now, it may even be a bigger one with his kids moving in up there, maybe splitting the rent, maybe doing renovations. But we're going to celebrate the win, and we're going to show Mark love because he's a great guy. He's got great kids too, I think. But I want to tell you, this is my experience. You start to mess. You start to put family and real estate together. My experience, even buying my first property, I borrowed money from my mom. And guys, it never ends. And maybe this is why I'm scarred with real estate. Real estate is so sticky. Most people, you're going to borrow money at some point from someone, and probably not just a bank, probably family, when you buy property. At some point. And you're never getting rid of that debt. I mean, it's just, guys, it's just, and forget about it. So just be careful. Let me read these comments. Cartoon Mark, never be a landlord. Trust me. I trust you, brother. I lived it too. I have less stress since I got rid of my tenant. I'm happy for you. I love you, brother. I want you to live your best life. Aaron, what's up, Aaron? Hey, guys. Aaron, you're a mouse catcher. Aaron, did you get rid of the mice? Aaron had mice in her house, and she has a van. She's been sleeping in her van, and like we talk about in this channel, if you do buy property for yourself, I don't like rental property. If you buy property for yourself, one person only needs about 200 square feet. A van, maybe it's 50, 70 square feet. It's awesome. Cozy, comfortable. And I look at that and say, man, I can live in a van. I really don't need a property. The problem is you just got to figure out where you're going to park it. You can park it anywhere, but at a certain point, you want to be able to sleep peacefully and not worry about a knock. But there is something cozy about living in a vehicle, especially, if you got enough room. But I do look at a 200 square foot shack. Why? Well, because again, the logistics of putting a van, moving it around to be compliant with the laws, because eventually you get tired of stealthing. You could stealth forever, but it's a lot of wear and tear. So then it's like, camp, it all depends where you want to be, okay? If you want to be in South Florida in the winter, logistically, it's a nightmare. If you want to be in Arizona or the West in the middle of nowhere, you'll figure it out. But I didn't get into the nomad life so I could figure out where I could park for free in the middle of nowhere. No. I got in the nomad life so I can come to South Florida and live by the beach. Everyone's different. There's no judgment for people who get in a van. They just want to live in the boondocks. There's no judgment on that. I'm just sharing my perspective. All right, so Aaron, let me know how you're doing. Thumbs up to you also. Thank you to everyone who clicks the thumbs up. Thank God YouTube got rid of the thumbs down. I know people can still press it, but not only does YouTube not show the dislikes, I can't even see it in my private YouTube studio thing. I don't even see how many I get. So now that mental stress totally gone. Yeah, I got. Hey, all you trolls out there, just so you know, if you ever watch anymore, I can't see at all, even on my private thing, how many dislikes I get, and no one else can either. At least everything I know. So I think the troll era is done. That's what I think. I hate to say it. Well, I'm happy to say it, actually. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Google. YouTube. Doug. So true. My mom did not understand finances, and my dad didn't give a damn. And he knew finances very well. I learned the hard way, then sought out knowledge. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Dave Ramsey. Good job, Doug. You're a very smart guy. Rebuilding at 54. Now, I love Doug. Doug, you're very positive and you're smart. Admire, not acquire. Doug is renting a small apartment. This is what I mean. What am I going to do when I'm in my 50s if I don't have rental properly? Well, hey, here's Doug. He's renting a cheap apartment. He's happy. Okay. And, not stressed. You'll figure it out. Aaron, I think I got rid of them, but I have learned to say no. I've learned not to say for sure. Yeah. If there's one mouse, there's way more. It took us, when I had a mice infestation in the house I grew up in, probably about a good month. We used sticky traps with peanut butter, and I'm the one that had to go collect all the dead mice and put them in a bag. It was a disaster. But I could just tell you it took us about a month. And then you got to make sure they don't get in. They got in through the basement area. Then you got to make sure they don't get in again. And you got to, watch the food. It's just a disaster. But I did have a cockroach infestation in my car in Florida in the summer because I was at campgrounds and I had cereal in my car. And I didn't have netting on my windows. And bugs got in, and they got into some of the food I had. It was a disaster. I learned my lesson, never again. Doug, oh my God. My first real estate deal in my late 20s ended up in a 3-way lawyer disaster. That's enough for me, I'll tell you, man. Real estate is very much a legalistic, heavy responsibility. However, to be balanced and fair, if done properly and sized and priced according to your budget, and you're living below your means and you're knowledgeable and you're at a different point in life, it can be a blessing. It can be a good financial allocation. I don't believe in rental properties at all, at least for me. I know some people who do it, and that's their thing. God bless them. Let's continue to read, Aaron. Oh, I love that you can't see it either. So great, Aaron. Aaron and all the members, you guys have been great, positive supporters. And I tell you, there's good people out there. There's been times in my life where I doubted it. No one's perfect, including me. I thank you. Doug, amen to that, cartoon mark. Aaron, now I'm finding acorns in the van. So that's a blast. Yeah, well, keep that van clean. Look, mice are like anyone else. They're looking for food and a place to sleep. They're stealth camping. Mice are trying to stealth camp, and you say, oh, it's legal. Why can't I park any parking lot? What's wrong with that? Yeah, well, why can't mice come live in your car? Guys, look, I'm fair. I understand why the cops keep you moving. They don't want it to turn to an infestation. So that's what I tell you, when you're on the road, make sure you're living below your means, saving up, because you may get tired of keeping it moving. And eventually they may say, look, that's enough. There's too many mice. There's too many stealth campers. We got to clean up house. And then people go, oh no, why can't I park here? Guys, even now, I want to tell you this. I see some areas in South Florida, there's plenty of vans, there's people stealthing, some places more than others, but I see the writing on the wall. Even as I still see more restrictions coming. And I know there's been a lot over the past few years, but that's the one thing I worry about getting a van. If I don't have the logistics of where I'm going to park it, I don't want to buy a van. I don't even care if it was a $10,000 van. Okay. But obviously, I'm not going to buy a $10,000 van. But I'm damn sure if I'm going to buy a Class B that's damn near $80,000, I don't want to not know where I'm going to park it, because that's like asinine. Okay. That's like saying, yeah, I'm gonna spend $80,000 to have less options to park when I lived in my Jeep, to put it more into a depreciating asset, riding around trying to find areas to park and still worrying about a knock. Nah, that's hustling backwards. I'm not hustling backwards. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't buy a van, but the reason I take it so long, because I'm looking at the logistics. I'm trying to figure out, could I logistically figure out the van life in South Florida 90% of the year? In the summer, no problem, because most people ain't here in the summer. Even in the spring, after April into May, probably. And I probably don't want to be here in September and October, so I could be up north for those months. But I said to myself, man, I'm going to have to fucking really put a lot of energy into moving around a lot just so I can do my daily routine. What is your life, your daily routine? So I said to myself, Sam, I understand emotionally, I find it more inspiring to be a nomad. But I also understand wisdom. And I checked myself. I said, Sam, logistically, practically, are you causing yourself, in one sense, more stress moving around, allocating money not wisely, and you got to work harder to do the daily routine that you like, which is wake up early, have your coffee, work out, do your work, go to the beach, and just walk around the beach. So now I gotta go all over driving, wasting a few hours each day just to get to that point. I said to myself, wow, this is where I go back to the home base. Jesse O, I've been praying for you. Guys and girls, forgive me, because I'm going to skip some comments. I'm going to go back to them. But Jesse O, she's my first ever member. And I've been praying for her so much. I hope you've been listening, Jesse, past couple nights. She's been going through possibly buying a house, but it's been very hard. I don't know if she backed out or she's still in it. Jesse, I want to say this again. I love you no matter what you decide. I think that you'll make it work no matter what you decide. Let's read her comment, and then we're going to go back in order. Jesse, big corporations are pushing for rental society. I don't mind renting, but I hate the option to own your own detached house is going away. No, I mean, that's part of the Great Reset. It could be a gift or curse. It's like Uber already does that, right? Like, you don't have to own a car. You could Uber. For some people, that may work. For other people, it won't. This is why I don't think we are going to an all rental society in our lifetime. Because actually the powers to be would not want that to be the case. Why? Because when you own property, you're more committed to an area, you're more committed to a community, you tend to treat the property better, and you tend to treat the community better. You're more vested. You got money on the line. I've been, guys, in so many different environments. Very poor, been in the projects. I've been in mansions. I've been in middle class. And what I can tell you is when there's a high rental ratio, the community suffers a little bit because people aren't invested as much. It's truth. But it doesn't mean people who don't have their finances together should own, because owning is a huge financial responsibility. And that can destroy you even worse. You rent until you, but I think if society went all rent, you'd knock things so out of balance that there'd be chaos. Every place would be run down. Now, the only time I'll see the Great Reset, an all rental nation, be worth it is if, like, there really does come a day where climate change negatively affects the landscape, or there's like a major natural disaster or man-made disaster, war or something, where society is so scattered, the only way to bring stability is for the government or powers to be to allow people the freedom to move around, and everyone's renting. And I know some people don't want to rent, some people want the freedom to own, but I don't think, guys, actually the governments want you to own, not rent. Because you got more. Why wouldn't the government want you to have skin in the game? That means you're going to treat society better. When you don't have skin in the game, you tend to say, fuck it, I don't care, I'll own this shit. What do you think about rental cars? How do you treat the rental car? Governments don't want everyone to rent. Not unless there is a huge shift in the way the earth is working. So that's my opinion. Let's go back to these live comments in order. I apologize for skipping. If I miss a comment, please type it again. Don't take it out of disrespect. Doug, no thumbs down era has begun. Positive rising. Yeah. Look, I don't know why you would want an online community where negativity is counted, where trolling is encouraged. You say, well, I don't want a community that's all fake. Guys and girls, for the trolls out there, negative people, number one is the thumbs down and the fake accounts are unfair because psychopaths or bad people create several accounts and they hit the thumbs down several times. And this is the reason why renting will never be the main thing. A troll is someone on a fake account. They're renting their account. They're not even paying for the rent. And they leave the nastiest comment with a fake avatar, fake name. If you had to show your license and give your social security number, which a YouTube creator has to do, but no one viewing, if you as a viewer had to put your government issued ID out there, you would not see trolls like you see. So the least that you could do is make the election fair, where you can't vote thumbs down several times off fake accounts, and you can't leave comments off these fake accounts very negative. Now, some of these things people say online they would never say in face. Now, I understand some of that's in your personal life. Even me, I can get very intense on here. I wouldn't say a lot of these things I say in public. Why? Because there's an etiquette. But overall, my message is self-care, living below your means, etc. But I want to tell you that YouTube and every social media platform should never allow bad people to have a voice. All the hot air that Alex Jones spewed, what did he do? Eventually, when he mocked Sandy Hook shooting, he got depositioned in a court of law. And he blamed the mentally ill people online for encouraging him to have paranoia. And he sold you vitamin water. He sold you GNC products. He didn't really give anything of value. He don't really care about America. Because what did Alex Jones do? What did Trump do for years? Prey on the fears and the hate of others to almost bring down society, to almost want to start a civil war. If you love the country, you would want us all to work together. You would want to debate, but not. I don't know, certainly though I want to be fair, there is room for discourse, but there's a time and place. And you can certainly tell a person by the fruit of their character. And if you want to see Alex Jones' fruit of his character, talk to his ex-wife, to his kids. No, but he's not all bad. I don't want to say that. I'm going too far. But I just want to tell you that when everything is new, you have to balance it. So the internet, MySpace, Facebook, that was all new. YouTube. Now we're balancing it. It was way too skewed as the Wild Wild West, where you could say anything, do anything. You can't have a society like that. You say crazy, it's a free society. Guys, if it's a free society, why can't I park on your lawn? Because there's rules. And if you don't have rules, you have chaos. And when no one owns anything, you don't care about the rules because it ain't yours. They'll never get rid of ownership. Never. All right, let me take the hoodie off. I'm in South Florida. Let me act like it. But I have the windows up. Shout out to everyone watching. Twist, I see you. We're going back to all live comments. Denise, I see you. Yeah, it feels good not to be in a gas station. I ain't gonna lie about that. Yeah, I don't want to do the gas station anymore. I'm done with that. For the most part. Now, you say, I'm going to get back to these comments. Forget me. Now, let me go to comments. Live, gotta go comments. All right. I think of them and get rid of them. I read that. Amen to cartoon Mark. Doug said, Aaron, I'm fine. Oh, yeah, I read that. Doug, no thumbs up. Yeah. Denise, here we go. Denise says, at Aaron, I found a bat lying on the floor outside my room. I bravely and carefully boxed it. God bless you. Took it outside. You're an angel. And watched it fly off beautifully in the moonlight. I'll tell you, Denise, you're an angel. Because when I see something, a bug or a frog, and I'm not a killer. I don't want to kill, but I'm like, I get the fuck out of here. I kill some spiders and centipedes in my day. But I don't want to kill. Especially as I get older, I do I think no, I don't want to just kill some animal. I'm not into that. I'm not a hunter. I'll protect myself, but I don't want to take life. So, but if I saw a bat, I'll tell you, I don't know if I'd box it up. I give you a lot of credit for that. Jesse. Oh yeah, I read that already. But Jesse, I'm praying for you. I love you. Don't worry. Whatever you decide, we love you. Denise, bats eat mosquitoes, do they? But I wish they'd quit coming in my attic. Denise, where do you live? Jesse, those large condo buildings is not for me. I agree with that. I can't live that close to people. Well, look, obviously, the lower the price range, the more, well, it depends. If you go in the middle of the country, you can buy cheap land and have some space, but you're in the middle of the country. So, and I found some nice country spots. I'm not all, but I got to be by the beach. But I did a condo. But condos aren't bad. They come with more amenities. You can get a great view. But I don't like shared walls. I've determined that. So, everything has a season and a reason. Doug, just the opposite in Oregon. Campgrounds full in the summer. Yep. And empty in the winter. Good comment. LA Fitness open year-round. That's where I slept in my 2015 in my truck. I want to tell you, thank God for the gyms. I mean, I spent plenty of nights there. But with the pandemic, that changed some things. Definitely Planet Fitness is not 24/7 in most areas anymore. And some of these other gyms that are 24/7, look, the cops and everyone knows what areas are open 24/7 because they patrol them. And you can get away with it, and I did it, so I don't want to say it. I don't want to say negative to it, but I just want to say that. I also know that you push your luck. Now look, if you got no choice, there's a freedom in, look, this is the only shit I got. But I want to tell you, while you're living that life, pick up a side hustle, save up some money. Because, that's, you got to do something. Doug. Oh, yeah, I read that. Yeah, but see, that's why, too, I'm like, man, I don't, see, you say, Sam, get an RV, go to New Jersey in the summer. Well, I don't want to go to New Jersey in the summer. It's crowded as fuck. I don't want to go anywhere. The only time I want to leave Florida is a hurricane or in the fall. But even in the fall, like I tell you, if my mom wasn't around, and thank God she is, I wouldn't go up north. I don't think I would. It's just not worth the energy. It's not worth the travel. If there's not a hurricane, and if my mother was alive, and I thank God she is alive, I wouldn't go up north. It's just not worth it for me. I don't want to see the leaves change colors. That's not me. I want to see palm trees and bikinis 24/7. So, yeah, you said, don't you want to see the autumn leaves? No, I'm good. I'll skip that part of life. Yeah. Back to these live comments. I gotta go off my phone. Remember, I do my live feed from my phone because that's where you get the best quality. And then I read the comments off my laptop. So for all my YouTubers out there, that's what you want to try to do. But sometimes, like, the laptop is going in and out of Wi-Fi off. I'm tethering off my phone. So I'm gonna go to my redundant source, my phone, to read the comments. See, but when you read this, for my YouTube careers, when you read the comments off your phone, you can't approve certain comments. Because certain comments, even when they're by members or non-trolls, the comment may have a word in it that sparks an algorithm to keep it hidden until you, the creator, approves it. I can only approve it on my laptop. I can't approve it on my phone because I can't see that. So what I do when I scan my comments on my laptop is I'm looking for any comment that needs my approval. So, that's why you need both engagements. And you can get a very cheap Chromebook laptop from Walmart for a few $100s. Okay, this one's lasted me at least 5 years. And then you use a separate laptop for your job. Where are we at? Denise, when I moved out of my apartment after 10 years, I cleaned and detailed it so well, I got my full deposit back. You see, that's what I don't like about renting. One is I don't like to be in someone else's space, and I don't like someone to have to inspect after I leave before they give me my money. Not that I'm going to do anything bad, but it's just, I don't want to be under their thumb. That's why I prefer to nomad over rent, because I rather live in my vehicle, and if you have to, RV, I mean, even better, but you got to have somewhere to park it. But I'd rather that than rent. But it's not for everyone to live in an RV. She goes, after 10 years and got her deposit back, many homeowners look down on renters, but some of us are good people. No, I agree. Look, there's good and bad in everything. And just like some renters look down on landlords, but some landlords, like my mom, let renters go at times months without paying, never raise their rent, and they still need to get evicted. So there's both sides. Not all renters are bad and not all landlords are bad. I agree. Doug. Great analogy, Sam. Thank you. You're killing it. Thank you for the positive words of encouragement. What's up, everyone? Just got done fully engaged with his school responsibilities. Good to see you, Sam. In your 20s, build your experience. Got to build your experience in working. Because a lot of people get certifications, but if you don't work, your certifications don't mean shit. Work, number one. Get certifications, number two. Repeat, number one. Build up your career, take the promotion. 20s and 30s, build your career. 40s and 50s, sip pineapple juice like a rich prick. 60s and 70s, feed the birds and chill in a lawn chair. 80s and 90s, get ready to meet Jesus or whatever you believe in. Maybe you're going to meet an alien. But the average life expectancy is 80. And no matter what you do in this world, even if you live to 90 or 100, you ain't going to live to 1,000. I don't care how much real estate you own. You ain't going to live to 1,000. So what you better do in life is only buy real estate if it improves your quality of life. Because we're all renters at the end of the day. You say, well, I can leave that property to my kids. Well, how'd that go when someone left you property? It was a blessing, yeah, but it was probably a big cluster too. So just remember, not all kids have the capacity to liquidate property, to go through probate. Some kids, especially if you're leaving property to a kid with disabilities, they need a fund, not a rental property. So remember, if you have a child or children with different personalities, different abilities, leaving property to them is asking them to be a real estate mogul. And if they have issues already, drug habit, mental illness, even if it's one of three of them, how can they be landlords? Even if one of them can do it too, it's too much. Be careful. Doug, hey Twister, good to see you. Aaron, Oh my God, Denise, I would have run for my life. I ain't gonna lie, that bat's crazy. That bat story. David, what's up, brother? Sometimes they want you to find another parking lot, then they're just checking to see if I'm okay. Overall, parking is not much of an issue. I move from time to time, but stay in a certain area. Yeah, I understand. Thank you, David, for the comment. Again, I empathize. For 5 years, I've lived in my car, and whether it's in New Jersey or Florida, I've stealth camped 90% of the time, 10% of the time in campgrounds. And, now I'm doing campgrounds more, so I've lived it. I get it. All I'm going to tell you is while you're living in your car, pick up a side hustle. You're in a car, so that means you have a driver's license. That means you have a certification. And that means you could deliver food, not just sell food on your cart. And even if you can make an extra $50 a day, 50 times 30, there's 30 months, there's 30 days in a month, that's $1,500 a month extra. If you're going to live in your car, if you got, if you can, I know some people have exceptions, there's issues, but I want to tell you, either you got to have a backup plan or you got to go see a social worker to get a subsidized apartment. You say, I got a subsidized apartment, I hate it. I get it. But I also get that if you live full-time on the road, you're not going to be able to adapt. Because a disability is saying that you're not going to be able to adapt long-term, I don't think. That's what I've seen, actual experience. I'm not saying you can't go on the road. I'm not even saying you can't have a subsidized apartment. Because, again, but I want to say, especially if you don't have a backup plan, a low-income person with no subsidized house, and if they get to an emergency situation, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. Because, again, everyone do what they want. I'm just saying that you can't complain if you got to keep it moving. Because that's part of the nomad life. It's like if you're in an apartment, let's say you're in a subsidized apartment, do you allow the next door neighbor in the other apartment to come sleep on your couch whenever they want? So when you say, I want to be a nomad, that doesn't mean just because you've come on this parking lot for 5 weeks that you can keep, maybe it's going to change. Because that's not your couch. That's not your place. So, that's where that Bob Wells slogan, just get in your car is going to be great. I think a lot of the nomad life is great. And I think even for low income people, I think it's going to be but again, I think if you're not going to address mitigating risk, if you're low income, which you're taking a higher risk being homeless if you're low income, because you're more vulnerable. You can't adapt. You can't pay for a hotel. It's going to break you. And if you get sick or if you get too elderly to be on the road, and if you don't have your apartment lined up, you don't have money in the bank, now you got to go in the worst part of the system. You want to be sick or elderly and going through the system, or, and going through the homeless shelter and going through them putting you in a place at that point when you're already fucked up, you at least want to get your subsidies while you have your wits to figure out how you can make it work. And look, if you're in a bad situation, I've been in housing projects, I've been in some bad subsidies. Look, I get it. Then find somewhere else. But remember, some of it is mindset. Look at Alpo from Harlem. Alpo was a killer from Harlem, right? And so he served jail time for killing multiple people. And he got out of jail. He ended up telling on a lot of people from Harlem. Okay. And he eventually got out of jail, and the government put him into witness protection in Maine. So he had free house in Maine. They gave him a certain siphon, money-wise. But he chose to go back to Harlem and hang around people that he even ratted on, and that he knew he had enemies amongst them. You say, why? If someone didn't have to go into the belly of the beast, why would they do it? Mindset. So that's why I tell you guys, you have to determine if that's right or wrong. But even when someone's given an opportunity to change their life, they choose to go back to not change their life. So when you remember that, you can look at your own life and see if you're willing to adapt and change. And that's what I always tell you guys and girls, the number one book you should read is the book Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. You say if Alpo read that, would he have not gone back to Harlem? Hey guys, you can't, there's always going to be some people who never listen to anything. But I'm not trying to say, don't worry about other people, worry about you. Back to live comments. Gianna, hey Gianna, what's up? Hey Sam, you give a great message as always. Thank you, Gianna. I know you're going through your own things with family and rental property. I empathize. I hope you heard my story and my testimony in the beginning. Thank you. Twister, getting me in my own house mode. Your messages are so powerful. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your positive attitude. Shout out to you, Keith, everyone out there. Doug, $30 extra a day. There you go. It's rent. There you go. DoorDash, here I come. I want to tell you, one reason I think home base is I keep a regular car. I like a regular car over driving a van. I drove a van when I did contracting work. Okay, I had a van for a few years. And that was the 18 foot, the smallest RV van. And what I can tell you is it's not the same as driving a car. It's not driving a Class A motorhome. It's not a bus, but it's not a car. And I know from my experience, I don't know if I want to drive that every day, all day. And I know damn well I'm not going to be door dashing off it. And then I said to myself, now I'm buying a depreciating asset I really don't want to drive. It's just got more comfort. I can't make money with it. And it's going down in value. Now I feel great. I have everything I own, but I have to be able to eat that depreciation. Erin left a great comment. She goes, I don't think I can eat that depreciation. Now, working in IT, working remote, and with some investments, if all that panned out, I could probably eat the depreciation and choose that lifestyle. But even eating the depreciation, I don't like to drive it. So that's something like, there's some things that I don't like about a house. That's where I'm saying it's not an easy choice. But, I'm tending to lead towards the beach shack, man, and then the regular car. Denise, Sam, why is self-motivation so hard for me? I think it's a brain issue. Yeah, I think that's possible. Why? Because, look, in my younger days, I used to think it's just you're lazy. But through modern science and analyzing, we know that some people who are lazy do have mental problems. However, we also know that they're too lazy to go do DoorDash. They're too disabled to work, but they're enabled enough to get in a van and travel across the country. And they got enough energy to go shop at the Dollar Tree all day. It's like when my dog was old, and I thank God for Grace because, I wish, even though I treated my dog great, okay, and we had a great life together, but at the end, there was a couple weeks where she couldn't hold her bowels bathroom. I wish I would have been more patient with her. That's a failing in my life, and I still think about, but I say all that to say, I remember when my dog would get old, and, she didn't have the energy sometimes to get up and to, go do things, but if I would get a treat, she would jump up. And I was like, are you playing games? Even a dog, until you give them something they want, they're like, oh, I don't want to do nothing. That's why you got to have a reward system. Now, again, though, I want to recognize mental health. I want to recognize legit disabilities. I do not want to say that, there aren't those things. And I'm glad that there are programs for those things. And I know they're not perfect. But I want to tell you in life, you got to learn to motivate yourself, encourage yourself. And you got to really discern and be honest with yourself. Am I being lazy? Or is this the disability? And if you can answer yourself in the mirror, then no, I'm trying, I just can't. Then all right. But like I know, the first fight is in the morning. When you roll over and you're just hitting that snooze and you're going from one side to another, that right there That's laziness. Now, but it does take mental strength to push yourself. In my younger days, it was harder for me. I've developed good habits. But if I didn't put effort into those habits, guys, I'd still be, So, I mean, I've always had somewhat, though, a level of urgency and diligence and motivation, energy. But I've also been obese. I've also, I've been immature. So you can change, but I recognize that everyone is different. So, but do what you can with what you have. That's what you always got to focus on. Good job. UBG Vlogs. Hola. Good to see you. Shout out to you, Paula. Great to see you. Heart emoji. Twister, I can't hit that snooze. I got too much to lose. Well, Twister, we know you're a diligent, hardworking, positive person. And that's why I tell you, your only obstacle is you refusing to take the promotion, you refusing to adapt. Because you got every skill set to go very far. So you say, well, what's going to be my next major hurdle? Well, to be able to separate a little bit from your family, to be there for your mother, but not try to save your mother. To learn to do some things on your own. Learn to go to the next town over that you never go to. Learn to go to different areas within Texas that you've never been to. That is what will unlock your true potential. And when you do that, there'll be no stopping you. David, I'm looking forward to getting another side hustle. I feel like my income needs to increase. In general, expenses are down, but eating is pricey. Yeah, and no matter, even if you got no debt, you always got to eat. And, look, you can live on peanut butter and jelly, but you got to always ask yourself, am I trying to live in poverty? Is that my goal? Or am I trying to live my best life? Now, when you got no choice and you're trying, you do what you got to do. But if you're going out of your way not to work so that you can just get by in poverty, I know some people, they work harder not to work. It's easier to show up and do nothing and get paid. It's like they go out of their way not to do anything, to think that they're getting away from the system. And they're actually working harder and making their life harder by trying not to do anything. That's been my observation. He goes, I feel more complacent than lazy or mental. Well, just acknowledging and analyzing yourself is a step in the right direction. You have what it takes, David. Why? Because I've seen your comments in here for over a year. And I've seen that you don't run from accountability, and you've tried to examine yourself. Accountability is the first step to growth. Someone who always blames their landlord, blames the system, blames their parents, blames this, but they never go anywhere. And I'm not saying there isn't blame at times to go around. But I'm saying in life, if you're going to stop at blaming, if blaming is your end game, guys, you can blame someone your entire life and never do anything. But if you're going to say, well, what can I do to improve my life? What can I do within my abilities, my control? You can start with waking up early. You can start with the proper hygiene. You can start with managing your time. You can start with trying to do a little bit more each day. Or you can continue to just wake up and blame. And some people do the latter. But don't let you be those people. Denise, okay, thanks for answering. I love you, Denise. UBG Vlogs. Bad day for me. Well, I won't say anything other than heart emoji. Why? Because when someone has a bad day, just give a heart emoji and a prayer emoji. Love to you. Charles, I empathize with needing a reward system in place after hard work. Sometimes I put in the hard work of recording, editing CAD videos, and I lose paying members the next day. Very deflating. Well, remember, there's a creative business, a creative venture like YouTube or art. And then there's a 9-to-5 W-2 where you're guaranteed a certain amount of money. And that's why I tell you, most people, including me, you'll make more money in your life on a W-2 than a 1099. A 1099 is an independent contractor, like for YouTube, DoorDash, etc. Now, you can make money off those things, but you got to learn to be a W-2 worker before you can be a 1099. You say, well, I saw Mark Cuban. I saw Mr. Wonderful. They could never work a job. Hey guys, I saw Michael Jordan. He got cut from his high school basketball team. I can never be Michael Jordan. So I'm not saying that everything works out for everyone or everything is one. But I'm saying statistically, most people would do good to focus on their W-2, working for someone else. Then on the side, doing their 1099, singing, cleaning houses, art. And then over time, have a couple side hustles. Focus on that which are working, develop and strengthen them, and then slowly mitigate risk if you want to transition. Certainly there's exceptions. There are people who take a lot of risk and hit the home run. Certainly there's people who take a lot of business and they're going to go bankrupt and they're never going to recover. So you got to recognize whatever situation you're in, and it's not just Charles, it's all of us. And, you go from there. Good job. Good comment, Charles. Denise, hey, Paula. I hope tomorrow is better for you. I agree. UBG Vlogs. Thank you, Denise. Everything is just a mess right now. One day at a time. Denise, Twitter, your goodness is inspiring. Twister, you're young. When you get older, 30s, 40s, you're going to hate life a little bit more. So what should you do? One day at a time. And then you'll find your inspiration again. Denise. Oh, yeah. Cartoon Mark. Hey, Denise. Paula, Aaron. Denise. Hey, Cartoon Mark. Twister. God bless you, Sam. You have truly been a huge blessing in my life. My life dream since I was 19 has been to successfully move to Miami. It's been challenging, but I've been getting it day by day. We'll go after your dream. Just remember, Miami is crowded, congested, and there's a lot of homeless in downtown. And a lot of prostitutes in South Beach. So what should you do? In my opinion, visit Miami and live on the outskirts. However, what should you do? Whatever you want. Why? It's your life. You got to figure it out. Never forget it. Twister, thank you, Denise. All right, guys and girls, pray for me. I pray for you. Live below your means, but up to your potential. If you're going to have rental property, you better be able to deal with the stress because it'll destroy your marriage, destroy your children, destroy your life, your quality of life. You got to worry about your tenant more than you worry about your self-care. You got to fight with someone to go look at the plumbing. You got to worry all night instead of masturbating all night. You say, I just left the chat because you said masturbation. Well, call a plumber then. Because I want to tell you this, guys. I've met a lot of people in life, and I've come to a conclusion there's only two type of people. One type of person is on a first name basis with their plumber. The other type of person knows the first name of every free porn actress or actor. And what I can tell you in life, it's sad that most people have Roto-Rooter in their phone contacts. But what I can tell you in life is that the reason Sade sold millions of albums, most of them were sad songs. It's because most people are very sad. Remember, Sade got divorced. I couldn't believe it. Broke my heart. Sade's child is a transgender. Sade is one of the greatest R&B singers of humankind. And I would probably still get with her. She looks good. But I want to tell you this. I wouldn't live with Sade if she wanted a big house. Why? I'm not going to do the plumbing. I'm not going to rent a property with Sade. That's why she got divorced. In my opinion. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I love you, Twister. Thank you.